Janome.
Hi everyone, I'm Kimberly Einmo, Janome's national spokesperson. Welcome to Janome's Holiday Open House. Today we're going to have a lot of fun. I've got a couple of great projects to share with you, and these are all about our furry friends. That's right, we're going to be making these adorable mats for your pet bowls that are non-slip. They won't skid on the floor, they won't move, because we're going to be using some non-traditional material on the bottom of our mats. These projects are quick and easy, and it goes along with the theme of give one and get one. So we're going to be making a couple so you can keep one for yourself and give one to your favorite neighbor or friend or someone who has a pet that would benefit from making these fun mats. So before we get started, let's just talk about the things that we're going to need to make our pet mat. You're going to start with some fabric, not very much. To make each mat, you're going to need a piece of fabric that measures 15 inches by 19 inches. Now, I've got some great selections here. These are all from Timeless Treasures. Aren't they fun? We've got kitties with glasses, and I'm particularly excited about this fabric. It's kitties in Santa hats. So we've got some holiday-themed cat fabric, and there's also these other kitties. Of course, you can use whatever fabric you have, or even for dogs or other animals, but there's all kinds of choices. Think about the possibilities of maybe making mats for every holiday. But we're gonna focus on Christmas right now. So you're going to need a piece of fabric that measures 15 by 19 inches. Now you can get all of the requirements for this project by going to janome.com, or even better, go to your local Janome dealer where they will have all the information on how to make this project. Next, you're going to need a piece of batting, very thin batting. I recommend getting as thin as you possibly can. It can be either a blend or polyester or cotton, but you're going to need a piece of batting that measures 12 inches by 16 inches. Next, you're going to need some of this shelf liner. Now, this is material you can buy online or at the discount store. It typically comes in a roll, and it's very non-slippery. I mean, it really grips. But that's the whole point, is to learn how to sew with some non-traditional materials. And this is shelf liner. So get yourself some shelf liner. Finally, you will need some tearaway stabilizer. And this is the temporary stabilizer, because once we use it and we've sewn our stitches, we're going to be tearing it out. It doesn't stay in the project. You will also need a piece of this, 12 inches by 16 inches. But again, refer to your instructions that you can download from Janome or get at your local dealer. And we're going to need some of these plastic clips, these little wonder clips. This is a project where I found it really wasn't prudent to use straight pins. It's much easier to use these little clips. So have about 30 of these on hand so you can clip your project as we go. Finally, you can use, it's optional, some basting spray to spray your layers together. You're going to want to do this in a well-ventilated area, and it's optional. If you don't have it, don't worry about it, but it does kind of help to keep things from shifting. Now, I've set up my Continental M8 Professional with the HP2 foot and plate, and I've also used this guide. You'll see this little guide. I think they call it a quilting guide, and it fits right in the side of your HP2 foot. And I've got it set up for about 2 inches. Now you can follow along with the marks right on your needle plate for the 2-inch mark. And it's just kind of, it doesn't have to be perfect, but just aim for 2 inches. And last, we're going to set up the machine by increasing the stitch length to 3.0. We're just using the HP foot straight stitch and a 3.0 stitch length. Now we're ready to dive in and start sewing our project. As you know, this year's theme of the Holiday Open House is Get One, Give One. It's all about sharing. And this is a great project to share the technique of making one with someone who's never sewn before. So I highly encourage you to get your child or grandchild or neighbor, somebody who's never sewn before can easily make this project, and it kind of gives them the introduction and the joy of sharing your love of sewing with them. So I think that's really important. This project whips up so fast that they'll feel productive, like they really can accomplish something in not a lot of time. So let's dive in. What we're going to do is you're going to take your fabric, your piece that was cut 15 by 19, and you're going to lay it right sides down. So that means your wrong side is facing up. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to layer our other pieces, which should all be cut at 12 inches by 16 inches. So start with your lightweight batting, and you want to center it. You want to just have it centered in the other piece, the piece of fabric on the bottom. Then line up your drawer liner material, that non-skid material, layer that on top of your batting, and finally put your piece of your tearaway stabilizer on top so that your foot glides smoothly over the non-skid material. So now we have everything layered. I'll hold it up so you can see what it's going to look like, and you have it centered. Now we have this guide on our HP 2 foot, and we're going to line this up, the edge of the guide, and we're going to start up here, and you're only sewing on the 3 layers of other fabrics or non-materials, non-fabric materials. You don't have to start at the edge. And we're just going to go ahead and start sewing by dropping the presser foot down, and we're going to start sewing straight lines using the guide along the edge. There we go. When you get to the end, hit your stop button and then cut your threads. It's that easy. Now we're going to move our fabric back, line up this guide bar along the stitching line, get your threads out of the way, lower your presser foot, and start stitching again. There's no need to lock the threads unless you want to. You don't have to backstitch. This is just to secure all these layers to your main fabric so they won't shift. And stop and cut your threads. Go ahead and continue doing this every 2 inches all the way down until you get to the end. Go ahead, sew your project, and we'll meet back here for the next step. That didn't take long, did it? Now you have these beautiful straight lines of stitching. I'm showing you what will be the top of our project, but for right now, that's what we've been sewing on the bottom. So let's flip it back over to the other side, and now we have this tearaway stabilizer that needs to be removed. The reason we use the tearaway is because this non-slip grippy stuff, it really holds on to everything that it touches. So it's not easy to get any kind of presser foot smoothly over the surface. So that's why we've used the tearaway stabilizer. But now all you need to do is kind of put your hand on the project itself and start to tear away the stabilizer. And you have these little pieces of paper left over that you can maybe save for another project. But go ahead and remove it all. It goes pretty fast. If you kind of fold it and score it with your fingers, I think it tears even easier. So you go ahead, remove all your tearaway stabilizer, and we'll meet back here for the next part of the project. So now that we've removed all the tearaway stabilizer, we're ready to press. Now if you're working with a young person, it's a good idea to supervise this part of the process because we are going to be working with a really hot iron. And it's very, very important that we don't touch the iron to this non-stick material. This shelf liner or drawer liner material will melt. So it's very important that you take your time, that you're careful, and that you use supervision when working with children or young people so that they understand that this is kind of a delicate part of the process. It's not hard, you just want to take a lot of care so that you don't touch the surface of that hot iron to this material. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with one of the short sides, and we're going to take the fabric and we're just going to bring it up to the other material about a ½ inch. And then just give it a light press just to kind of crease it. But you can see that I'm being very careful not to touch that other material. Once we do that, we're going to fold it again. We're going to fold it over the top of all that we've sewn together so far, but that non-skid material, we're going to fold it over the top, and once again, just give it a press, a light press, and making sure that we do not touch the hot iron, the tip of that iron, with that material. Then we can take our Wonder Clips and we can clip this in place. That's all there is to it. Just like this. Go ahead and do both short sides the same way. Then we're going to do the long sides in the same manner, and then we'll be ready to sew again. So take some time. I'll do one more side here for you. Again, start by taking and folding that material of your main fabric, giving it a quick little press just along the fold line. And then fold again over top of all the layers and give it a quick, tiny little press here just to create a crease or a fold. And clip that in place. Go ahead and get yours done, and we'll meet back at the sewing machine to do some stitching. Now that you have your mat all clipped with your Wonder Clips, it's time to sew. So we're going to start at one end, and you're going to use your HP2 foot or whatever foot you're using and line it up so that the left edge of the foot is aligned with the fold of your fabric. Now all we're trying to do here is do a seam all the way around to hold these folds in place. In essence, we're creating a binding. But because it's right next to this grippy material, if your foot actually goes over the grippy material, it will kind of grip and hang on. So we're trying to get close to the material, but still staying on top of the cotton fabric. So let's go ahead, and you want to lock your stitch in place before we get going so it doesn't pull out, and then we're going to stitch using our HP2 foot like we've been doing with a 3.0 stitch length. Stitch for a little bit, stop and remove the clip, and keep on going. This is where it really gets fun because we're in the home stretch. We're almost done with this project, and you can see it was really fast, very easy, and it won't take you much time to whip up a couple so you get to keep one, and then you have one or more to give to a friend or a neighbor or even your local shelter for the pets that are in the shelter this year looking for their forever families and need to find their new homes. So now that we get to the end, we're going to keep on going. I'm going to shift that over just a smidgen, lock the stitch again, and sew. Again, we're just trying to keep the left edge of the presser foot aligned as close to the folded fabric as possible. Here we go. Now I over sew just a little bit to hold it in place, and I lock it, cut the threads, or you can just pivot. It's up to you, however you want to do the corners. I just like to give it a little extra stitching just to make sure that they're held in place. Keep removing the clips. Keep on sewing, and I'll see you when you get all 4 sides sewn. You did it! You're all done. Your non-skid mat is ready to go. Now, in no time at all, I've whipped up 2, one to get. This one's going home to Cheeto and his buddies at home, and 1 to give. So it's really fun to make these non-skid mats. You should be very proud of yourself because you've sewn with some non-traditional material and you've used something different that you may not have used before, the HP2 foot, which is awesome. I hope you'll consider making a lot of these and share them with your friends. Also, think about those pets or animals who are in the shelters this holiday season. They could use a mat or 2 if you feel so inclined, because this is a great stash busting project. Thank you for joining me for Janome's Holiday Open House. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.